All right, so working on Shae'S truck. Shae'S not here yet, but I'm just getting some stuff moved around so we can get the engine and transmission mated together. I'm probably gonna have to find some bolts, a few things that I'm gonna have to conjure up because I don't, well, his truck was a standard, we're making it automatic, so there's a few little things that I'm gonna have to find, some bolts and such. So I figured I'd get that all figured out, so when he shows up, we can get video prior to this one. We got everything all painted, all that stuff. If you haven't seen that video, if you want to check it out, just go back into this playlist and you can see there's gonna be a bunch of videos in this playlist. This is like the first couple kind of idea, so is what it is. So I gotta pull, I'm gonna have to move a couple things around, but I gotta pull the engine out. I gotta get that engine adapter out of there. This is all of his parts here, but we're gonna get the engine pulled. The transmission is over there on a cart, so we can get that pulled off of there. That is the flex plate we're using, or flywheel, flex plate, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, I guess we probably need a torque converter. So I'll have to go, the torque converter is actually in the van, because I picked it up from the guy that does the torque converters in town here. So we got to get that pulled. So we got to go, like I said, I just want to get the things all set out that we need to get set out. So when he shows up, we can hit the ground running. So I guess, I'm saying so a lot today for some reason. Well, we'll get everything all set up. I probably won't time lapse that because, well, I'm going to be in and out of the shop and find some bolts. But when we get all that, I will come back and show you what we're doing. All right, so you guys seen some of that stuff we got done on the truck today. We got the, well, Shae'S boys came and helped. They got the diffs all cleaned up outside, front and rear. They did a pretty good job, being that that's kind of the first time they've ever done something like that. So I think they did a really good job. We still have to paint them and stuff, but that's as far as that was good. We're gonna have to monkey around a little bit with some U-bolt stuff. We're gonna have to get some U-bolts. I gotta see if I got a top plate, because the top plate for these, I've never switched a half ton to a 3/4 ton. Well, I guess basically a 1 ton. And this spacing on this plate is a little bit different, and I never even thought about it. This hole has to be out a little bit farther. I'm gonna see if I have one of these plates. If I don't, then what we'll do is we'll modify this one. Not a huge deal either way. Just if I have one, we can just stuff it on there instead of having to screw around with it. So we're gonna get some U-bolts today, front and rear. The rear basically just bolts in. We do have to monkey with the brackets a little bit on the rear as well. That there again is not a big deal. We got the steering hooked up, which was basically just unhook it, hook it back up. I knew that would work. Brake line is hooked up on the front, so the front brakes, we're gonna have to go through the diff. I already know that. It's been sitting around for a long time. I just wanted to get it in so it had steering and brakes, so that when we get the engine running, at the very least, the truck will move in and out under its own power, which is kind of my idea. The rear, we'll be able to hook the brakes back up because we took the brake lines that were on the other differential. Well, we're gonna put the brake lines from it onto this because these ones were rotten. We got to take the whole brake line pieces out of the wheel cylinders, but I know we can get those out, no problem. Even worst case scenario, if we can't get those brakes to bleed, we're gonna rip the rear end apart as well, put seals in it and shoes and all that stuff, anything that it needs. Just like I said, I wanted to get it so that you touch the brake pedal and at least has enough brakes to stop when moving in and out of the shop, right? So we got the engine sitting in there yesterday. Transmission is in. We don't have bell housing, or we have the bell housing bolts in, but we don't have the torque converter bolts yet because we need to get new torque converter bolts. We cleaned up the transfer case, painted it. I see that we have a front seal leak. It's leaking way worse than I thought it was, so I think we're probably going to put a front seal in this, being that's already out. Especially if I can get a seal, I'm pretty sure I should be able to get one. Well, not like it's going to run today anyway. Well, I could make it run, but it's not going to run and drive today. So worst case scenario, if we get a seal, I think probably best to get a seal for it, because you don't, being these old gear drive, you're supposed to run gear oil in them. I have run ATF fluid in them, seen them lots of times running ATF fluid. Reason some guys will run ATF fluid is that you don't want the automatic transmission and the transfer case swapping fluids unless they're similar. Well, the same. I should say similar, the same. Because the gear oil is not good for a automatic transmission. So I was thinking about just running ATF fluid, and I have done it before. You just put a bottle. I put a bottle of Lucas in it, but you can use all kinds of different stuff, just transmission Lucas. But I think we're probably just best to put a front seal in it, and then we might still run it on ATF fluid, but we'll see. I haven't decided yet. So today, yeah, so we got all that done anyway. So it was a good day. We got about how far I kind of figured we were gonna get. I would have liked to get a few more things done, but you know, it is what it is. We didn't work super late, so you know, you get done what you get done, right? That's I've kind of come to that realization. Sometimes you get done what you get done. But I mean, we did pretty good. But Shae was here, I was here. The two boys were here from, Mason was here most of the day. And then Skylar was here for, actually pretty close to most of the day. I think he was a couple hours later getting here than we were, but we kind of shot shit for a little bit to start with. So we are coming along anyway. It won't be very long. We're gonna work on the truck today. Probably work on it tomorrow. Yeah, so today is, that we actually worked on it yesterday. I'm doing this video in the morning because I didn't do an outro for it. Well, I shouldn't say an outro. I think I'm gonna put a bunch of this in. I just wanted to talk about what we had done. So we got that. So today I have a list of some parts that we need to find. I'm hoping all of this stuff I have in stock. Throttle cable, I don't think I do. I'm gonna have to go looking for that. Rear tires, I have them in the ones that we're just gonna put on there. front shaft. I think I have one we can rebuild. I got starter, U-bolt brackets. I'm pretty sure I have hydro boost. So we're gonna switch this over to, if I have one, to a 3rd gen hydro boost setup, kind of like I did, well, like I did on, like that truck has on it. So if I have, I don't know if I have one or not, but if I have one, we're gonna switch it over. And then, oh, then we gotta do something for trans mount. So I guess that's what we're doing today anyway. So if you want to follow along, and we'll get after doing some stuff. All right, so we're getting into putting some U-bolts on. Got some new U-bolts. I always recommend not to reuse U-bolts. I know lots of people do, and I have before. I don't really like doing it. I've seen too many break. So take it with a grain of salt. If you want to reuse them, reuse them. If you don't want to reuse them, put new ones on. Just saying. So, you guys would have seen time lapse in a bunch of that. Oh, I don't know. I guess it's gonna be in the same video as the stuff that you've already seen because I didn't do an outro. So we're just gonna put it in one video. We got the diffs all bolted in. The brakes are all hooked up except for, well, obviously the hydro boost is not hooked up yet. We're gonna get some adapters for that, or I'm gonna figure out what adapters we're gonna use. So I'm hoping to adapt to not have to change the lines if possible. Worst case scenario, I'll build new lines. But we got the front shocks are bolted in, just a stock style 40, or I guess they're a stock style-ish 4200 Bilstein for it, which is much better than the wore out ones that were there. Front and rear diff are all painted. Like I said, everything's bolted in. And we, well, for contrast, is that the right word? I don't know, for fitment looking, yeah, we put my slicks that I used to use off of my first gen on it to give us an idea what the tire size is going to look like. These are a little fatter than what's going to go on it, but just to give us an idea what it's going to look like. So we're thinking a 16 by 10, basically the same style of wheel as that, and a 33 12.5 tire is what we're thinking. So it's basically going to be similar to that, but like I said, we put the tires on there so we just to give us a, I don't know, an idea what it was going to look like, right? So, and that's why we threw the front fender back on, just so that we could see what the truck will look like as a truck again. So that's the kind of idea. So I guess what we'll do today, I think we're gonna do the rear, we're gonna throw the rear shocks in just so they're out of our way. And I guess yesterday, well, we put the injection pump on. I'm gonna time that up, put the front cover on. We're gonna start putting engine stuff together. We're not have it running today or anything, but just started putting the engine stuff all together so we can kind of get all that buttoned up. So to start with, for injectors, we're just gonna put a, what I classify as my stock injector back into it for now. Stock manifold HX35. So we can do some testing with that setup, and then we'll go from there as far as like horsepower ranges up, but we'll see. So right now this thing has, it originally was a non-intercooled engine, but it does have the intercooled piston in it now. So it's basically an intercooled engine when it comes down to it, being that we're switching the injector. So basically it's got a fuel pin, govern spring, and stock injectors. I'm gonna say they're a little tiny bit bigger than stock. Stock manifold and an HX35. So basically every one of these VE trucks running around, basically this would be a very basic setup. Will give you an idea of what kind of power this thing is make, obviously with a new engine, but, or with a fresh engine. But that, anyways, just thought I would mention that for the guys that are interested. And we are going to put a an exhaust back, a stock exhaust back on the truck. I have one up on the shelf, and Shae decided that he wants to put a stock exhaust back on, or stock style exhaust, 4-inch turbo back.